14-year-old Nacole Smith lived in Atlanta, Georgia in 1995. On June 7th, she and her sister were walking to Ralph Bunche Middle School. On the way, Nacole realized she forgot something at home. She then headed back alone and cut through the woods. Sadly, Nacole would never make it back home. In the woods, she came across a man who indecently assaulted her and then shot her in the face 2 times. Investigators collected male DNA from her body and stored it for later use. Despite investigators' efforts, they didn't find any useful leads and the case went cold. In 2002, Detective Vincent Velasquez reopened the case. For 2 years, he was unsuccessful in his quest, but then a small breakthrough was made. In 2004, 13-year-old Betty Brown of East Point, Georgia was indecently assaulted by a man. Fortunately, she survived the attack. It happened just miles away from where Nacole's life was taken. Investigators found the DNA from both attacks is the same. This meant the attacker most likely lived in the area. Betty was able to describe the suspect as an African-American man, possibly in his 30s. A sketch was made and shared around, but didn't lead to anything. Detective Velasquez worked the case tirelessly, being in constant contact with Smith's family, conducting hundreds of interviews and over 50 blood samples before he retired in 2017. Detective Scott DeMeester then took over the case. Using genealogy and ancestry databases, it took investigators 3 years to find the person of interest. DeMeester got word that the Georgia Bureau of Investigation lab was able to match the DNA profile in the assault of Betty Brown. A few days later in 2022, Nacole's case could also be closed as it was confirmed that it was the same man responsible. The Atlanta Police Department then held a press conference to announce it to the public. Police did not state the suspect's name during the press conference. They said investigators wanted the moment to be about the victims, their families, and detectives who dedicated their hard work and time to solve the case. They only said the attacker passed away on August 29, 2021, while in hospice care for liver and kidney failure. Nacole's mother said she had been living without closure in the horrific incident for nearly 3 decades. She called the moment bittersweet and said she's fighting to take one day at a time. Today for me is a bittersweet moment. I never imagined this person to be deceased. So many unanswered questions that I had for him that I can never ask or get answers. I would never say it was closure for me because I'll live with this pain for the rest of my life, her mother said as tears ran down her cheeks. Betty Brown, who is now all grown up with children of her own, said that she has hidden that part of her life for years. Betty also said she never thought she would see the day where she would be talking about what happened to her. I'm so conflicted because on one hand, I want to rise above and not let this control me. But on the other hand, I want his family to suffer because he's not here to suffer. I want him to feel the pain that my family has felt for years. Furthermore, Betty stated that Nacole's mother and Detective Velasquez have both been in contact with her over the decades and that their care had been invaluable. All of these years and checking on me to make sure that I'm okay. I appreciate you because I needed that. After the press conference was done, it was revealed that the attacker was 49-year-old Kelvin Arnold. We don't know much about this worthless individual other than the fact that he's not alive anymore and that he lived close to both of the victims. Four-year-old Jessica Gutierrez, or Jessie as she was known, lived in Red Bank, South Carolina in 1986. On June 6th, Jessica's mother Deborah woke up and went to Jessica's room. Deborah found a window open and no sign of Jessica. Jessica's 6-year-old sister, who was in the room, said that a man with a magic hat and a beard took Jessica. Deborah called the police to report what had happened, and the search started. Investigators were not able to find Jessica, but they interviewed more than 125 people and reviewed more than 3,500 pages of documents with the help of the FBI personnel from 10 field offices. The search for Jessica and the person who took her went on for years. That was until 2022. On January 6, 2022, investigators from the Lexington County Sheriff's Department announced that a 61-year-old man from North Carolina had been arrested in connection to the case. The man is Thomas Eric McDowell. He was arrested by Wake Forest Police Department in Raleigh, North Carolina. According to investigators, Thomas's fingerprints matched the fingerprint found in Jessica's room. He had apparently also confessed to people that he took Jessica and ended her life. At the time of the crime, Thomas also lived in the area. He wore large cowboy hats, which might have been the magic hat that Jessica's sister was referring to. With the arrest now made, it is hoped that Thomas will reveal where Jessica's body is, assuming she's not alive anymore. In case she is alive, here's an image of what she might look like today. Thomas will now be prosecuted by the South Carolina Attorney General's office. He is currently being held at the Wake County Detention Center. On October 24, 1994, partially buried remains were found in the area of Date Palm Drive and Ramon Road in Riverside County, California. The remains belonged to a woman. Investigators were able to determine that her life was taken by someone. There were no clues about her identity. A sketch was made of her face, but no one came forward that recognized her, and the case went cold. Recently, a private lab in Woodlands, Texas called Othram Inc. made use of genetic genealogy using DNA from the victim. They found a man who they believed is the son of the woman. He gave them his DNA sample. After some more testing, they confirmed that he was indeed her son, and now they had her identity. She is 57-year-old Patricia Cavallaro, who lived in Bellflower, California. Her husband reported her missing in 2001, saying only that she had vanished after leaving home. He passed away in 2017. Ancestry records show Cavallaro was born in 1937 in Oneida, New York, but moved to California when she married in 1956. She had 2 children and settled in Bellflower. It is a bit strange that her body was found in 1994, and her husband only reported her missing in 2001, but I'll let the investigators look into that. If you have any information about who might have taken her life, you can contact investigators at this number. Here's a picture of Patricia next to the sketch of her, because I know you guys like to see how accurate the sketch was.